Next to me is the Bugatti Veyron, the original hypercar. With a top speed of 254 miles an hour, a 0 to 60 time of 2.5 seconds, this car redefined speed when it came out in 2005. So is it just as amazing 18 years later? Well, today we're gonna find out exactly that. Every number associated with the Veyron is ridiculous. It has 10 radiators. The original MSRP was above $1 million. And the best part, it has 16 cylinders. Oh yeah, and it can empty its fuel tank at its top speed in just 12 minutes. At the heart of the Veyron is an 8-liter quad turbocharged W16 engine that produces a ridiculous 1,001 horsepower and 922 pound-feet of torque. Yes, that's right, it's essentially two twin turbocharged V8s mashed together. And it went on to destroy the legendary McLaren F1's top speed, proving that Bugatti is the new force to be reckoned with. In fact, 18 years later, Bugatti still has the top speed record at 304 miles an hour with the Chiron Supersport. The Veyron truly paved the way for the modern hypercars. Nowadays, pretty much every major manufacturer has their own hypercar, but it wasn't the case back in 2005. And the insane part is, the new Chiron effectively uses the same powertrain with that 8-liter quad turbocharged W16. Something that a lot of people don't know is they actually made a Chiron back in 1999. It was a concept called the Bugatti Chiron 18.3, and it had a W18 engine. Kind of wish they made that. Now, this car has been tastefully modified by its owner, Ted. I've got a link in the description below. It's also for sale right now for a good price. I've got a link to the for sale ad. I love the HRE 501s. I think it's a really, really tasteful upgrade. Now, speaking of the wheels, not only do they look cool, they'll also save you money. Hear me out. The original wheels come with tires that are fused to the wheels themselves. It was basically the technological limitation of the time. And the tires will cost you $25,000 to replace. And Bugatti says after 3 tire changes, you're supposed to replace the OEM wheels to the tune of $70,000. So if you're doing tires and wheels, that's 95 grand on that service alone. Apparently, the yearly service cost is about $25,000, and it's just been performed on this car. The rear of the Veyron is absolutely insane, in part due to this massive hydraulic wing. When you're in handling mode, it raises to the sky and also automatically at above 120 miles an hour. In fact, the hydraulic actuators are the same used on aircraft to deploy the flaps. It's also got a massive center exit exhaust that if you look closer, it's actually 2 tailpipes with kind of a fake surround. The taillights themselves act as both taillights, brake lights, turning indicators, and fog lights. The interior of the Veyron is absolutely stunning, and they've done an amazing job of future-proofing the vehicle's interior. Essentially, they didn't use a whole bunch of digital screens that would look out of date immediately. It still feels modern in many ways. I love how much leather there is. The two-tone contrast looks incredible. Everything, the details are insane. I mean, even the lock and unlock button, the unlock is a picture of a Bugatti Veyron. Look at this beautiful aluminum piece right here in the dash. We've also got a gorgeous analog clock, classy as ever. The Alcantara headliner, even the window switches are covered in leather, metal for the turning indicators, glorious paddles. Of course, this has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and it was the first 7-speed DCT in any car ever. The speedo goes up to 280 miles an hour, but I'd say it's time to take this out for a spin. But before we continue, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Car Vertical. If you're looking into buying a car, make sure to use Car Vertical. Imagine buying a car and finding out after the fact that it was in an accident, it was a stolen vehicle, or used as a rental. With Car Vertical, you can find out the car's full history. Car Vertical will show you mileage discrepancies, and if it's been in an accident, they actually have the real images of the vehicle in the accident, as well as safety recalls, ownership changes, and theft records. If we check out this Aventador, for instance, it'll show you the last known mileage, and it'll even tell you that it's been in not 1, but 2 different accidents. The photos of the accidents are actually pretty extreme, so unless you're looking to rebuild a car for YouTube or get an insane deal, you probably wouldn't want to end up with this one. But if you're looking at a car with maybe more minor damage and they didn't disclose that, you could use it to get yourself a discount on the car. Car Vertical can save you loads of headaches and a bunch of money. So click the link in the description below and use code VehicleVirgins for 20% off. Seriously, check it out, guys. All right, guys, behind the wheel of a Bugatti Veyron, which is always a very special event. This thing is like no other car. When you're driving it comfortably, it feels like a Continental GT speed. And when you floor it, it accelerates like almost no other car. Sure, by today's standards, cars are getting faster and faster, and you can get a car like an SF90 or a Tesla Plaid that's every bit as fast, if not maybe a little even faster than a Bugatti Veyron. But something about the way those turbos spool and the power surges, that 922 pound-feet of torque rushing you forward, is truly spectacular. The car is louder than the Bugatti Chiron, and while in many ways the Chiron is better, in some ways the Veyron is better. The car feels more raw, it's louder inside. Now, I haven't driven a Pure Sport or a Chiron Super Sport or a Devo, so I'll leave those judgments until driving the more hardcore edition of the Chiron. But this is just the standard 2008 Veyron, if you can call it just the standard. Of course, then they made the Super Sport with 1200 horsepower. They made the Grand Sport Vitesse, a roofless Super Sport with 1200 horsepower, and a whole bunch of final edition cars. But you know, despite the fact that it does weigh 4,400 pounds, inside the car, it doesn't actually feel all that big. It's not super nimble and agile like a Porsche GT3 RS, but it's not supposed to be. It's also a hell of a lot more comfortable than a GT3 RS. The interior quality is unbelievable. What I'm actually surprised about is how well this interior has held up over time. Now, this car has very limited miles on it, only 2,500. I feel like a lot of Veyrons that you see, at least online, obviously there's tons of Veyrons in private collections, they made 450 of them, that you'll never see, and there's probably lots that have delivery miles on them. But for the ones you see come up for sale and the ones that I've experienced, they usually feel a little bit more worn inside, and they usually have more mileage on them. But this, I mean, the leather is perfect. The seat feels amazing. The Alcantara quality is incredible and just looks so gorgeous. This guy is letting me pass. Thank you very much. It definitely has a commanding presence on the road. People get out of your way when they see the Bug. I mean, it is not debatable what this car is. Sometimes when you see exotic cars on the road, people who aren't in the know are a bit confused. Is it a Ferrari? Is it a Lamborghini? Is it a McLaren? I'm not sure, but this is a Bugatti. Everyone knows it. For better or for worse, it's been popularized in, you know, pop culture with rappers and uber rich people buying them to just show them off. But as an actual car, it really is brilliant. It gets a lot of flack for being heavy and not able to turn. The only people who say that haven't actually been behind the wheel of one. Sure, when you really push this thing, it does start to understeer because of its all-wheel drive, but it handles a lot better than I think you would imagine driving a Bugatti Veyron would. It's not just a straight line car by any means. It truly is a car that does everything, from going blisteringly fast in a straight line, to being fun in canyon roads, to being a comfortable daily driver. You could absolutely daily drive this car. Sure, your wallet might not thank you for that, and thankfully Bugatti has listened to Veyron clients and made the maintenance a lot more manageable on cars like the Chiron. But if you've got really deep pockets and wanted to put 100,000 miles on this thing, you absolutely could drive it with ease. Just looking around in the interior now, it's such a nice place to be. I love the aluminum with this kind of spun metallic look to it. We've got a classy analog clock. None of the stuff inside the interior of the Veyron looks dated, and I'm serious. There's really, really limited amounts of digital stuff, and they did that on purpose. That's because, well, in the future, they knew this was gonna be an instant classic. People are gonna look at this car, want it as a collector's item. Look, we've got a beautiful GT4 RS right there, another Volkswagen Group product. But people are gonna look back at the car and obviously know the performance is incredible, the design is incredible, but if you've got a whole bunch of screens that maybe at the time were cutting edge, they start to look dated really, really quickly because electronics and digital stuff is rapidly advancing, almost faster than anything else in the world. So the fact that there's no screens is amazing. The only thing that dates this car's interior, and I mean literally the only thing, is the fact that it has a CD slot. But it is the most gorgeous CD slot I have ever seen. Now, right here is the shifter. We can bump it over to the left, that puts it into drive, bump it over again, that puts it into sport, and then one more time, it puts it into manual mode, or you just pull one of the paddles and it puts it into manual mode. When you pull a paddle, it doesn't put it into this pseudo-automatic and manual mode. It's just in manual, and you've got to shift your car. You got to shift the car yourself. Now, crazy enough, Bugatti was the first one ever to put a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission in a car. I remember riding in the Veyron right when the Grand Sport came out. I believe this was 2010 or 2011. I got really lucky, right place, right time, and got to sit and ride in a Bugatti Veyron with their test driver driving. And man, did that hook me on speed. That absolutely blew my mind how darn fast the car was. But one of the things I was most shocked about is I had never been in a car, obviously nothing like a Bugatti, but I'd also never been in a car where the shifts were so fast you almost didn't feel them whatsoever. This is one of the fastest gearboxes on the planet, and the crazy part is, even by today's standards, the gearbox shifts exceptionally fast. All right, let's pick up the pace in this thing. Oh my gosh. Once again, special thanks to the owner, Ted, for making this possible. I've got a link in the description below to his Instagram. Wow. Oh, it pulls like a monster. And it's for sale right now. I've got a link in the description below to the sale ad as well. This is the most mint Veyron I have ever been in, and whoever gets this car is going to be one lucky person. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. Let's do another couple pulls, shall we? Whew. I look forward to seeing you next video. The turbo noises are just ridiculous in this thing.